Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA,
where we bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing so you can start your day off the AFA way. And in case you have forgotten, we've been telling you this since November. We're never going to let you forget. Mark wrote a book about it.
You forget. You're absolutely fucking amazing, exactly as you are. You know what the goal is, Sherry? The goal is that when you open your eyes in the morning, that you roll over and not look at someone else and say, oh my God, I'm so lucky to be with this person. That you open your eyes and say, oh my God, I'm so lucky to be me.
There you go.
I am having the greatest love affair with my life, of my life, with me.
And here it is too. And so you think about when we're in relationships
Yeah.
with other people, sometimes conflict comes up. It's an opportunity to learn. So just think about all the conflicts we have in our head.
Oh,
so
we
when
talk
we're
to ourselves the most of anybody ever.
Right? So just think about how we are developing a relationship with ourselves.
Really?
We're
How's your
going
relationship
in.
with yourself? I would say, you know what?
10
If
times
you want
better.
to have relationship, if you want to have a great relationship, you have to look at yourself first. So, if you need to go to relationship therapy, it should be you alone. What's your
Well, here it
relationship
is too.
with you?
Here it is. You ready? This is a really interesting concept.
Yeah.
If you don't love yourself, how can you expect someone else to love you the way you want to be loved? Because you're not even giving it to yourself, right?
You know what?
Right?
You'll sabotage it every single time.
Yes,
That was my
exactly.
personal experience was when I needed someone else to provide me with the love and affection that I required to feel good about me, when somebody else was responsible for that, it was an awful situation because they can never live up to that expectation because I don't verbally say it. Hell, I didn't even know that that was what was in play.
Right.
And that's what I
Exactly.
talked about in the book. Morning, Laura.
Good
So that's what I
morning.
talk about in the book is I didn't even know that I needed somebody else to give me that love. And it
Yeah.
was unfair to have that expectation to begin with. I mean, how much pressure is that to put on somebody else that,
A lot.
hey, I want you to intimately know what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and what I need right now, but I'm not going to give you any clues.
Exactly. I'm not going to communicate. I
Not going
expect
to
you
tell
to
you what it is I
I
need because
expect you to
goddammit,
read
I
my
don't even
mind.
know what it is myself.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, getting to that point where you actually do wake up in the morning and say, God, I am so glad that I'm me. I am
Yeah.
so glad that I have this life and that I get to live it another day. Waking
Another
up like
day.
that. Oh my gosh.
Yes. And the other thing too, Mark, what Nurse Mark, what is it? Health,
Yeah.
happiness,
Cannabis.
cannabis.
Health,
Cannabis can
happiness,
help us
cannabis.
to reach
Yeah,
those new levels of being, right? New levels, the
absolutely.
biopsychosocial spiritual aspects of
Yeah.
healing.
Hmm.
Cannabis taps into those spiritual tools and principles and helps us to open up to new ways of being. I
We're
love it.
alive in a very people. We've just been through a pandemic. I mean, we're
Mm,
still in it, and we're
still in it.
slowly coming out of it. Right. This is something that only happens every few hundred years or so, right? And it
Right.
has
Yep.
happened multiple times. Look up your history, folks.
Yep.
It's been in play forever.
Right.
And so we have had to live through this. So it was a really a period of extreme anxiety, extreme fear. And
Right.
with fear are opportunities for change,
Yeah.
right? So we're in a spectacular moment where the world, as we know it, society has an opportunity to change. And look, cannabis is at the forefront.
Yeah.
Psychedelics are at the forefront. People are
Energy healing.
yearning for a
Right.
different energy healing is at the
Yeah.
forefront.
These
All
three
of
things are
these
going to
new
change the world.
things that are not really new, all
Right.
of these things are back in the world at this exact moment. And here we are
Here
talking
we
about
are.
it, moving towards that change for the
Yeah.
world that we all want to live in. And that's one of love and happiness and kindness.
Yes.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
wearing my Marine Corps shirt, right? I was a Marine, 17 years old. I was there. you know, I love my country and I'm going to go kill people and defend it and
Mm.
strong. You know what? I don't own a gun anymore. Like I am proud of my Marine Corps tradition. I love the military that they, um, my military family. But here's the thing: I'm not about war and killing anymore.
Yes.
That I have moved to a different space, and where
Yeah.
I want to live in a world that doesn't require that my friends need to go out and put their lives on the line to defend
Yeah.
our country. Do you know what I mean?
I
I'm not
do.
there
I know
anymore.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
you're just changing the dialogue on around what it
yeah,
means to feel safe, right?
yeah,
There you
yeah.
go.
I'm changing the dialogue to, you know, love.
To love.
Here
Yeah.
we are. And that's why we're here, Sherry, right? We're
Daily
here.
love.
We're here all about the love. And cannabis is something that most definitely fosters love.
Yeah. It totally does. You know,
Yeah.
taught me how to love myself, opened up neural pathways that weren't there, opened up consciousness, flooded in. And then
Mhm.
I was just able to look at things from multiple different perspectives. And that's what we're teaching people. We're teaching
Yeah.
people how to access a new way of being, total healthcare, THC. Think about that.
Love, love
So really
yourself first. That's right.
love
Love
yourself first.
yourself first. And
So good.
telling you that is that relationship with you is the number one relationship that you should work on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting too. I'm going to kind of just jump into
Do it.
this morning's meditation that I did. And
Mm.
basically it just kind of goes along with exactly what you said. It
Yep.
starts inside. Love of
Uh-huh.
self is healing to self and others.
Mhm.
So Carolyn Miss, I'm saying it wrong. She's been one of the most insightful teachers that I've actually have studied for the past 15 years on human consciousness. So she's a
Mhm.
best-selling New York Times author. She's done amazing work internationally, speaker in human consciousness, spirituality and mysticism, health, energy medicine, and the science of medical intuition. So I'm a big fan of hers. And so I've got books all over my house. And so this morning when I woke up to do something different, I thought I would grab a different book.
Yep.
And so one of the things it's really interesting that she's written this stuff years and years and years ago and how it speaks to today's situation, right? So these are universal concepts. And so
Yes.
she basically wrote, and it had to do about awakening. Our
Mhm.
old ways of being human are simply not supported by the non physical world anymore, the energy of the world. That
Mhm.
doesn't mean that we're to ignore being human. But what's happening right now in this period of time is we're getting cracked in half because our understanding of how life works has been so small, right?
Right.
We've just one way of seeing things. So
Yeah.
now what's happening is mystical truths are flooding into our consciousness. And what's happening now is people are ready to embrace these new ways of being.
Right.
So I love it. So we're
That's the
experiencing what?
opportunity.
New inner awakenings. We're being asked to integrate these new truths into our collective consciousness so we can
Mhm.
grow personally and help others along the way. So
Yeah.
I love her
Ah,
work.
ah,
Yeah, so
ah.
here's my takeaway. My takeaway from this morning's reading, the reading that I did was we all have the ability to implement change at a higher level through love. So
Oh,
that was my takeaway. That was what came to me after I read this. So
it
yeah, so I'm
certainly has manifested that way in my life.
yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Right?
yeah. And so
So
that rolls right into the daily love, and it's
there
funny,
you go.
they're very compatible this morning. Isn't that how the synchronicity is
I
just
know that's
crazy?
how the vibe.
Yeah, the vibe, babe. So the daily love today came from Conversations with God. Again, it's a book that I absolutely love, and there are gems in there. Oh, it's just
Mm,
so many. So I'm just going to give you a little piece of what today's was. So this is God talking to Neil. Neil Donald Walsh wrote the book, and it really is a conversation that he has with God. And so God is Neil asks questions and God responds. His God's response. So God says, "So, do you want your life to take off? Begin at once to imagine it the way you want it to be and move into that. Check every thought, word, and action that does not fall into harmony with that and move away from those. When you have a
mm,
thought that is not in alignment with your higher vision, change to a new thought then and there. when you say that a thing is out of alignment with your grandest idea, make a note not to say something like that again. When you do a thing that is misaligned with your best intention, decide to make it the last time.
There you go. There we go. Choice.
That's it. Check every thought, word, and action that does not fall into harmony with that. And that is your grandest vision of who you are. Now, here's what I shared. And, my friend Sanjeev Chopra told me this quote a few weeks ago. And Sanjeev is an amazing, amazing person and a great storyteller. He's just filled with so much wisdom. And we were chatting and he said, Mark Twain said, the two best days of your life are the day you're born and the day you figure out why.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is speaking to that. And that is, what's your higher vision of you? Why are you here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why are we here? Well,
Why
today we're also here to celebrate Nurses Week. Someone just said Happy Nurses Week.
My friend Teresa, hey, you're right. Happy Nurses Week.
Yeah,
Another
right.
nurse.
So it's interesting that can even tie into that, the higher vision, Carolyn Meese talks about archetypes.
Why were you called
right?
to that vocation? And that is a vocation. That is not just a job.
It isn't like
Mhm.
healing the wounded healer. So how am I best working with other patients? How am I best serving other people?
Mhm.
I'm at my best when I'm taking care of myself, right?
Absolutely.
Mind, body, and spirit. So healing the
burnout.
wounded healer, right?
Mhm.
It's a whole cool archetype that ties right in to exactly what Neil Donald Walsh says, stepping into power of
that
love.
higher vision of yourself.
Yeah.
And listen, you were called to nursing. If you're a nurse, you were called to it. And you know what? It's not an easy job. You can end up burned out in the system. And you know what? You were called to it. Figure out what the why is now. It's okay to move into
what's funny?
ways of being in that area.
I remember when I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
This is an interesting story. So I have a brother. Oh, I was 11. My brother is 10 years younger than me. So he was 1. And I remember at that moment in time, he had a driveway that was that deep. And he goes 1 years old, already had learned how to walk, tooling down. He goes like completely running down the driveway and does a tumble, tumble, tumble.
Yeah.
And his head is cracked open. And I remember going there. I was like 11. I whipped off my sock, took a sock. I mean, it just came intuitively.
Yeah.
Took off my sock and put it on his head.
Right.
And carried him to the house. And it was really interesting. My father said to me, "You should be a doctor." It was interesting. And I said, "No, I'm going to be a nurse." Right away. That came out of my mouth right away. And so at 11 years old, I knew that I wanted to be a nurse. And I didn't know why at the time, except for that it felt so good to be able to stick a sock on my brother's head and make him stop bleeding.
I love it. I love
Good
it.
story. Yeah.
So happy Nurses Week, everybody. Hey, Brian Campbell tossed up there that they're fighting for legalization in Indiana. We'd love to have Indiana have a legal cannabis program, right? So support the cause at Monroe County Cannabis Coalition.
Yeah.
We're all in this together. Let's
We're all in this together.
Send that energy out. It's going to happen sooner or later.
It is. And the more we talk about different subjects that we do, the hugs and nugs of information that we're bringing you on cannabinoid therapeutics, how it works, case studies, research, and we're actually applying cannabis education to all of these different health awareness months that exist. And that's what leads us into today's topic.
My God, isn't that fantastic and amazing and not surprising once you get the science behind it, that cannabis is effective for almost every one of these health topics that come up every month, like National Arthritis Month.
Yep, this month. Exactly.
Arthritis Awareness Month.
I know.
Well, hell, cannabis is super effective for arthritis. Even the Arthritis Foundation has its public statement on their website that says, hey, we don't know if the science is true or not, but we have enough people saying that it's helping them that our position statement is, what do you got to lose?
Exactly. Now, the
Yeah.
cool part, we're going to get into a little bit more in detail.
Mhm.
Cannabis really sparks my
Yeah.
dendrites to think about things differently. And, I love it how, I love it how these cannabis studies say overall positive, clinically positive, and
Right.
they give a percentage. So that says a lot to me because they're really, really digging into the science and
Mhm.
pulling everything apart and coming up
Yeah.
with these percentages that really excite me. So I'm just going to give a little sneak peek. Overall positive for cannabinoid therapeutics with arthritis is 93%. That's 93. That's big. Listen, if you have
That's some
arthritis,
positive
but that
evidence.
what is that?
That's
That
some
tells
positive
me
evidence. Yeah.
that tells me that anyone that has arthritis really needs to look into cannabinoid therapeutics, not just cannabis as medicine, but everything else that exists
And so
to
let's
help
talk
support
about
that
that. How
system.
many people are suffering in just the United States alone, right? It's
50,
53 million. 53 million adults have doctor diagnosed arthritis. And let me tell you, there are a lot of other people out there who are not diagnosed who are suffering from it too.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting too, when we talk about disability, when we look at the different things that are the leading cause, the followed by, just looking at disability rates. And
Yeah.
basically, the research that I found was that mental illness is the leading cause of disability, followed by arthritis and other mucoskeletal problems. Right.
Right.
And then what we're also seeing too, Mark, is that patients that have other diseases, comorbidities, also have arthritis.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Boy, that endocannabinoid system may just be an overarching, overall, huge, largest neurotransmitter system
Mhm.
that's
I don't
involved in
know.
all of this, Sherry, right? Because you
Like,
see
yeah,
the ties between different things happening within someone's
yeah,
body.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So what did
here's
you
an
find?
interesting. This is what I found. 57% of adults with heart disease have arthritis.
Pretty big number.
52% of adults with diabetes have arthritis.
Mhm.
44% of adults with high blood pressure have arthritis.
Yikes. That's me.
And 36% of adults who are obese have arthritis.
Well,
Now that's really
my
interesting.
chart says obese.
What was that?
My chart says I'm obese. The
You're not
doctor wrote
obese.
that in there. That story I tell, the doctor wrote that in there when I was in my 30s. I'm like, on a physical check, I'm like, "What the hell did you just write in my chart?" "Well, according to the BMI, you're obese." And that, folks, is why you don't use the BMI. You use body fat percentage.
Let me
Anyway,
tell you, Mark, you
that's a
are
whole other
solid.
conversation for nutrition.
I can squeeze your arms and they're like rocks.
Ah,
You are. You're muscular. You're a muscular man for
listen,
sure.
yeah, but, the BMI chart was created by a mathematician, not anybody in the healthcare field, and it's been used for a long, long time, and it's inaccurate, and I think when I saw the doc write we're getting off topic, but what the hell.
That's okay.
When
It's
I saw
funny.
the doc write obese in the chart, I flipped out because I'd been working out for a long time, like, I really, identified with being physically fit, and that was something I was proud of. And then he writes obese in my chart, and it's like I can't imagine what that does to somebody who's not working out all the time, like somebody
Right.
who
It's
just
horrible.
generally, you know, see
Well,
that written in their chart. That's awful.
it's horrible. So here's the thing too, interesting, just I'll go on the
Yeah.
opposite end. When I was seeing my doctor and I was so thin, I mean, I'm a thin woman now, but I
Yep.
was much thinner. And what she wrote in my
I can't
chart
even imagine
was
that.
failure to thrive,
Yep.
okay, at
Yep.
the age of what, 45?
Yep.
And then she told me, she looked at me and she goes, "You're a skinny fat." I go, "What?" And
Skinny
she was
fat.
right, but it just, and with that, she didn't write it in my chart, but she basically
Right.
said to me, based on this, she got the concept. Based
Mhm.
on this chart, it looks like you have 16% body fat, but
Yeah.
you don't. Because when we're looking at it, when we actually, because we had the scale that looked at everything, right? She
Mhm.
says your body fat is 30%,
Right.
but your weight, you're underweight. So I
Right.
was underweight and with a high body fat because I
Yep.
had no muscle. I had muscle wasting. Right. So
Yeah.
this is, yeah,
Yeah.
it's really
So
interesting.
the healthcare community, the practitioners, we need to catch up with what's going on in the fitness community, because in the
Yeah.
fitness community, they do not use BMI. They do not use a scale. They use body fat percentage. So when you go into a gym and you're starting a workout regimen and you join that gym, they almost always, all of them include a body fat percentage test. And there are even companies out there that do full body scans, like they'll do laser scans. And I've had some of these, and they're fantastic because they give you a full picture of your whole entire body and where that higher fat percentages are.
Yeah,
Right? I mean,
definitely.
it's just amazing stuff. We're getting way off topic, but
We're
we're going to rope this
anyways,
back in again, and we're coming back to arthritis.
Yes, back to arthritis. So how we got off topic was that 36% of adults who are obese have arthritis. So for new people that are out there, we just kind of want to tell you all what arthritis is. You may know, but clinically, it's an inflammatory disease of the mucoskeletal system and connective tissue. So there's inflammation of a joint between two bones, such as our fingers, our wrists, our hips, our backs, our knee joints. And the symptoms include pain, decreased range of motion, stiffness, swelling, redness, and a sensation of heat. Right. And so, and what happens is the symptoms gradually develop over time, and they can worsen over time. So if you think about why inflammation might worsen over time, let's get back to the endocannabinoid system, right? What's going on in our endocannabinoid system? What are we doing or not doing that's contributing to inflammation? This is how we tie in the entire endocannabinoid system to arthritis. Really interesting concept, right? Think about all the things that support it and the things that don't. So what happens, Mark, when they get worse and worse over time? What happens?
Listen, you avoid painful movements to guard against the pain, and that results in further stiffness because, you say it all the time, motion is the lotion. But when you have pain, when you move, what do? You don't move, because you'll end up with limited range of motion and decreased mobility, because who wants to move when it's painful?
Not me. I was in bed for 6 months. Seriously.
That's right. That's right. So, it's all like all chronic diseases. It's sort of that slippery slope where you start to just, everything decreases.
Yeah, it does. You get one thing and then another thing and then another thing, and you just start to.
And in this case, you just stop moving because it hurts to do so. And, you've seen a lot of times you'll see this in elderly women, because women live longer than men on average, and they develop it, and you'll see that their joints and their hands will physically become crooked because the joints are so swelled and so degraded, and it's painful for them to even pick things up. And so, cannabis can help to, if you get on early enough, I think, my opinion, get on cannabis early enough, you can avoid possibly having that progression continue. Because how many times do we say it, Sherry? All of the Terpene Tuesdays, how many times do we say for each one of the terpenes, even not even the cannabinoids, the terpenes, anti-inflammatory properties, anti-inflammatory properties, over and over.
And the thing is too, Mark, the traditional treatment, what does it really focus on? It focuses on suppressing pain, diminishing inflammation, flare-ups. So it's basically focusing on treating the symptoms. So what if we could not only treat the symptoms, but at the same time get to the root cause by modulating
all of those medications that they use to treat arthritis come with a whole slew of awful side effects.
Oh yeah, they certainly do.
So, we're talking, if cannabis can treat this and allow those folks to be off of those other medications. Now, we're not advising that you stop taking them.
No.
We always say, start out in tandem, but over time, our experience shows us that people can decrease these other medications that they've been on. So you work with your doc and you work with a green nurse.
Absolutely.
Together, we'll get you to a place where cannabis can help. So let's talk about studies, Cher.
This is exciting. So, definitely is evolving, but the number, what sticks out to me, I'm just going to keep saying it, 93% overall positive. So there were
Oh,
23 total studies,
yep.
2 lab,
Yeah.
5 animal, and 8 meta-analysis studies. And we had talked about meta-analysis studies as being a ton of different
Rigorous.
studies where they're
They
pulling, right?
pull in all of the
Yeah,
studies that have been done, or as many as they can find. And a lot of times they'll include studies that have not yet been published, which is important,
right,
because there are studies, the most recent studies, it takes years to get a study really published many times.
right. Yeah,
So they take into consideration all of that, and then they apply very rigorous statistical analysis. Like, this is really deep
really.
statistical
Yeah.
analysis. And if you haven't been involved in that, you haven't really touched anything to make your head spin. Woo!
Yeah, I know,
Good
right?
God. Just
It is.
finishing up. I've literally today I'm writing an ethical considerations portion of a group project for a study proposal that we put in. And I've been in statistical analysis for the last few weeks, and my head
You can
hurts, Jerry.
My head hurts. I know.
My head
Statistics
hurts.
was difficult
Yeah.
for me for
Yeah.
sure.
So
Yeah.
what did we find out? What was the synopsis of cannabis research for arthritis?
Okay, so some of this might be a little scientific, but we're nerds here and we like to talk about it. So I'm going to try to
Oh,
explain it in
yeah.
the best way possible. So we talk about the endocannabinoid system and how it can be regulated and modulated. So the synopsis of research for arthritis states
Mhm.
that modulation of the endocannabinoid system on the molecules that guide the natural process of inflammation have been shown to have anti-inflammatory, anti-arthritic, and anti-rheumatic properties. Really interesting. That's big,
Yeah.
right? So modulation of our, not just on our own, so taking our own endocannabinoid system in whichever way that we can upregulate it, whether it mean using cannabinoids or other things. We want to
Mhm.
produce our own internal endogenous cannabinoids to start working with our body to bring it
Right.
back.
Right. So, I immediately think of, if we can decrease the pain and inflammation and
Yep.
allow somebody to actually start to move and start to have that motion, you know,
Motion
that
is the lotion.
is that's it. And
Yeah.
that lends to more decrease in inflammation,
Yes,
right?
it
Because you're
does.
moving that body, you're moving those joints, you're moving the fluid, you're moving, everything's working as it should.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then stimulating our own endocannabinoid system,
Mhm.
activating these receptors in our body, not only with cannabinoids, but our own, right? And then
Mhm.
these enzymes too, they all play a huge role in decreasing symptoms of arthritis, but they
Right.
also, like we said, play a role in modulating the underlying pathophysiology, the underlying pathologies, getting,
Mhm.
not just treating the symptoms, but getting to the core and working on that. So the other thing it's stated too is that cannabinoid sensitive receptor sites. So we talk about neurotransmitter signaling systems, and
Mhm.
and so there's a few of them, and one of the ones is the TRPV1, the
Yep.
TRIPS,
The
right? And
vanilloids. Yep.
we covered that last week. So it mediates pain, inflammation, body temperature, and itching.
Mhm.
So think about the pain and the inflammation.
Right.
So this works on the TRIP receptors, which decreases pain and inflammation, and that helps with arthritis.
Bingo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then more studies had shown that modulating, using endo,
Mhm.
phyto, and synthetic cannabinoids, so our own that we make,
Yep.
phyto the plant makes, and
Mhm.
synthetic the pharmaceutical companies make,
Mhm.
also show promising results, increasing our own anandamide 2-AG.
Beautiful.
Um, and then the different phytocannabinoids. So the study
Mhm.
showed that they did more studies on more CBD than THC, full spectrum.
Right.
So that's
Right.
chemotype 3. And
Mhm.
then the other one that they showed, promising results was the chemotype 2. So equal amounts of THC and CBD. So
Because
these
they
are just,
work differently in the
they
body.
work differently. Yeah, they work
Yeah.
differently.
Very
Yeah.
synergistically. So that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep.
So trials, these trials suggest the potential for therapeutic effects. And as always that we say,
Yeah.
research is progressing, it's evolving, and there's more that's needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we work with patients with arthritis, it's critical that we interview and meet the patient where they are, guiding them down the path that they choose, right? So
Yeah.
what's important to you? what are the realistic goals that you would like to reach using cannabis? Do you have any stigmas around cannabis? Because a lot of people will come to us and say, you know what, I just don't want to ever smoke pot. I don't ever
Yeah.
want to smoke marijuana. And that's stigma related, right?
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
do you have stigmas? So, what's your past mental health history, your current treatments, your symptoms and medications, the lifestyle questions, all of the total healthcare? It's just
Yes.
such a holistic healthcare model because all of those things are interacting with your endocannabinoid system. Everything
Yep.
that you do or don't do, like you say, Sherry, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
what else do you have associated symptoms like depression, anxiety, insomnia? Hell yeah, if you're suffering from arthritis, you're probably going to have some of these comorbidities associated with it. So then
Absolutely.
we help, folks pick what
Educate.
is best for them.
Exactly. And there's so many different products out there, topicals, tinctures,
Yeah,
capsules,
yeah,
oils, cooking
yeah.
with it, edibles,
Mhm.
inhalation for some. And so
Yeah.
what we do is we hold your hand until you're ready to let go. We educate,
Yes.
empower you on
Uh,
how to safely use cannabinoids and use other progressive tools.
right.
Always, it's about starting low and going slow. Start
Always.
low, go slow, titrate, adjust, and add.
Yeah. The big takeaway, 93% overall positive study results for arthritis and cannabis.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
a good number.
absolutely. Good
Hell yeah.
number.
All
So
right.
this has been an awesome Friday, right? We
Yes, it
talked about some
has.
really, really cool stuff. And it's not over yet, everyone.
No.
Whoop, whoop. We still have some fun things to do today, starting at
Yeah.
9 a.m. in the
Mhm.
Green Nurse community. We're going to be doing Frequency Friday, talking about
Yes.
energy healing and our
Mhm.
favorite healing machine that is truly helping change people's lives
It
on that
is.
bioenergetic
Yes.
homeostasis, looking at different
Yes.
things. We're
Yes.
doing that at 9 a.m. So join us.
Yeah, absolutely. That frequency medicine, oh, it
It's
is
great.
cutting edge technology. You gotta get in on this. And then, Sherry, we've got a lot of stuff. Of course, we're here 5 days a week at 8 a.m., and on Wednesdays at 8 p.m., we have our podcast. And
Yep.
we've always got a lot going on, and we have our new mastermind group. So if you're
Mm,
looking to be a part of a mastermind group and listen, this will take your career or your personal life even to the next level
yeah.
because this whole concept of mastermind group has been around for a long, long time. We have 2 meetings a month on Monday nights at 7 p.m. You can join us for these. It is really an opportunity to step into a new life.
It is. And the other thing too that's interesting is if you look on our page in the event section, there is an event, and we're doing this every other Tuesday. The next one is May 17th at 7 p.m. So you can look at the event, and there's a link for you to go sign up.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing too. And then,
Well,
as always, for
yeah.
patients, if you or someone you love are suffering, if you're interested
Mhm.
in cannabis wellness or want to learn about how to apply cannabinoid therapeutics to your life for whatever reason that you want, we also offer patient services. So reach out to us at
Yeah. Reach out.
www.thegreennurse.com.
Greeners.com. Just reach out. We're always happy
Reach
to
out.
help and point you in the right direction. If it's not
Yep.
something that we can specifically help you with, we have a
We'll
lot of
find someone.
contacts, connections around the world. We can get you to where you need to be. We can help
Yeah.
point you in the right direction if it's not something that we can do. But we're absolutely fucking amazing. So of course we can probably do whatever it is you have. Right?
What
So
are
I'm
we
gonna
work?
have an AFA day. Guys, gals, so happy that you're here this morning
Yes,
with us.
thank you.
You make the
Make it
day
fun.
AFA. Wherever you are in the world, somebody's going to bed right now because it's nighttime where they are. Some people are getting up for their
Waking up.
morning and starting. Listen, Friday, May 7th, 2021 ain't ever
Only
gonna
one.
happen again.
Yep.
Today is the day, and we talked about it. Check every thought, word, and action that does not fall into harmony with who you want to be now.
Exactly.
AFA
Exactly.
day for me, Sherry. I hope an
AFA day
AFA
for me.
day for all the rest of you. I love you all. And Sherry, what's it all about, babe?
I got two things to say. It's about
Yeah.
health, happiness, cannabis, living your best life, and helping others do the same. Love you guys.
Love you guys. See you at
See you
9
in a
a.m.
little bit.
for Frequency Friday.